Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing? I want to first thank everybody to joining us again to another Teaching Tidbits episode. We've been having a few of these episodes this past few days, and it has been a very enriching experience being able to have conversations with different guests, colleagues from from different areas of our college and also from other colleges as well. And today, I have the pleasure to have two esteemed colleagues who do an excellent job in helping our students to promote leadership and to providing all of the support that they need while they are with us at Hostos. And I want to start by asking our colleague Jason Libfeld to introduce himself and telling us how he's doing today. Jason?
How you doing? My name is Jason Libfeld. I'm the Student Leadership Coordinator at Hostos Community College. Run several leadership programs out of one office, and I'm okay today. Smiling, the sun is out, and we're working towards finishing up the year strong.
Welcome, Jason. Let's welcome Jerry.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jerry Rosa. I'm the Director of Student Activities at Hostos, and I'm doing great, enjoying the sunshine and enjoying the comfort of home.
Excellent, and we're happy to have you. And our goal is to have a conversation about the different what's going on in the work that we do, what's going on in how the things that we're doing now is actually changing everything that we are doing. So I wanted to start to so that we can have a conversation. Um, we can have a conversation with you about how this whole transition has been affecting your work and also life responsibilities. How the things that you were doing before, how this has been changing. Let's start with Jason, and then we go with Jerry. You will have to unmute your mic.
Better, got me. So in the early stages, we worked very hard to try to maintain what we were doing through the academy. So on a regular basis, we have Friday workshops that run from 3:30 to 5:30 each Friday, and a group comes in and works with a professional to develop their leadership skills. And we have a model for that called the CUNY STAR. And so we've maintained that, and we've actually had 10 workshops since the COVID-19 stoppage of normalcy. And we've had anywhere from 21 to 35 students at each of the workshops. And we're also trying to continue our movie series, which we run on the campus. That's been a little bit more difficult for obvious reasons. And we're actually going to hold our retreat virtually. We're going to have a 14-hour retreat coming up. And we're going to have our ceremony at the end of the year, as it normally would be. But working from home with two children, being home at the same time, and sort of not having the freedom of having a space to actually directly communicate with our students one-to-one, face-to-face, has been challenging. I mean, the communications haven't stopped, but technology doesn't necessarily provide me with the resources I need to understand what's going on in the minds of our students in a particular moment, and takes a lot more digging, a lot more investigation, a lot more um, understanding of some of the circumstances that many of our students are living in. So they're not coming to the office to have the consultation, which is what was normal. Now we're sort of doing it in other ways and working very hard to try to do that. But as far as the maintenance of what we do at normalcy, that's pretty much the same, with the exception of one part of our program, which is our volunteering. So 50% of what we do is going out into the community and volunteering, giving back. And at this point, we've had limited opportunities to do that. We had a few students who helped with distribution of laptops to other students, but for the most part, we haven't been able to get virtual volunteering up and running as of yet. So it's going to be a process, and we'll see. A lot of our students really want to continue and volunteer, but we haven't had the chance to do that.
Thank you, Jason. Let's ask the same question to Jerry.
Okay. Well, in part, we're still doing some of the things that we were able to do at the college in terms of the paperwork and the reports and some of the activities, but there's a good part of things that we're not able to do. For example, we have clubs that sponsor pinning ceremonies, and there were a couple of clubs that were supposed to have those ceremonies in the next 2 weeks, and those events have to be canceled. So that's something we're not able to do. Uh, in terms of dealing with the student government, that's something that we have been able to do. We exchange emails with them, or we hold phone conferences with them, and we discuss the items that they want to work with us on. We were actually able to do an entire student government election online. Everything from students submitting their forms by taking pictures with their cell phones and submitting them to us through email. We were able to send students notices about correcting those forms, and that was done through email. The students did all of the campaigning for the elections online. They actually went on Facebook and Instagram and created entire campaigns online with videos and flyers and all of that. So that was very interesting. When we had the election the past couple of years, we've done it online. So again, it was nothing new for us in that sense. And the results, the number of voters actually turned out to be right around our average, which was kind of surprising to me. I thought we were going to lose some students because some of them might not have access, to the internet and all that. But around over 1,000 students voted, and we ended up with around 11.4% of the student population that voted, which is very good. So, in terms of things like that, things are working. In terms of events that were supposed to take place on campus, that's where we're having difficulties. Part of what we're doing is we're recommending to the clubs that had the idea of buying merchandise that could be done. So we're reaching out to them in terms of saying, okay, do you want to buy T-shirts? Do you want to buy some souvenirs, things like that we could use later on? Um, that's pretty much it in our end. So we have been able to do some things because that's communication that took place, through email, things like that. But the actual events that where you try to recruit people or gather people, that has been difficult for us.
And this has been something very, very challenging, but at the same time, it will allow you to identify some creative approaches, as you have also seen. I've seen something similar in other type of activities as well, that the participation level is a little higher in this setting. I've seen, for professional development, I've seen a lot of people attending professional development activities, like you've seen for voting for the students. Having good number of participation, which um, gives us a good sense that we're able to get to our students. And there's a lot of challenges. I want to, before I get to the next question, just want to uh, show you Carlito Diaz is saying hi to Jason. He's connected, and say hi to Jerry as well. So for everybody that is connected, just make sure that you have your questions ready. You can type your questions in Facebook or Twitter, and then I'll be popping these questions up for Jason and Jerry. And you know, you mentioned about some of the challenges, some of the different things that you had to be um, getting, new approaches. And then there is this also this other component. This huge and important component is life, right? And how do you balance work and life during this crisis? How has it been to be working from home and identifying new approaches, new routines, different challenges? So we would like to hear from you how this whole experience has been for you. Let's start with Jason.
So, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, this is not what necessarily what I signed up for. When I came to Hostos about 13 years ago, was to sort of make an impact one to one and connect with our students in a way that was different from the things that they had ever had happen with them before. And I think we've been sort of successful at it. So moving onto a remote format has been a challenge because some of our students are not technologically savvy. Some of our students don't have technology at their disposal. Some of our students um, don't want this type of interaction, have much too much of it to begin with. And so it's not necessarily a benefit to their lives. Yeah, we may see increased numbers in terms of things that are going on, but remember, a lot of the students that we see on a regular basis have more technology going into them than any of us ever probably had, just 10 years earlier or 20 years earlier. And so they're having a hard time of balancing things. I think you probably can hear in the background, I have my coworkers here, and they're storming the Capitol, the bouncy castle. It's a whole new world to try to manage being a professional, doing these conference calls, and doing a lot of work on the computer when two young children are around, trying to get the attention that they need and not getting the support that maybe some older kids are getting. Not that that's any easier, but it creates some challenges. And as far as like recommendations for work-life balance, I didn't have good recommendations for that when I was working, going to work every day. I think the best thing is, take a break, find something that you can do in your free time that allows you to free yourself, and not think about work for a little while. Whether that's going out for a walk, or I know Jerry working in his garden, or watching Netflix, or whatever format you like, but some way to sort of erase from your mind all of the responsibilities that go on in the day. And that's not actually easy because I still get text messages at 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes, because a lot of our students need attention like that. And that's always been what they could do with me. Now they just have an extended reason to do it.
Let's ask the same question to Jerry.
Okay, so I actually enjoy working from home. There's a thing called life, and I'm becoming familiar with it again. In the morning, we start with our routine. I have breakfast, coffee with my wife, and we talk for a little bit. At around 8:50 or so, I say, "Honey, I'm going to work." And we kiss goodbye, and I walk around the corner and I sit in the dining room and I start my day. Um, pretty much I work on a normal basis, answering emails, preparing reports, working on forms, things like that. What I do now is actually, when it's time for lunch, I actually take my whole hour of lunch, which is something that is hard to do at the office because you always have somebody coming in. Uh, I get back to work after that, 5 o'clock. I leave for the day and I start doing other things. I have like a little garden, so I start planting things for about half an hour, 45 minutes. After that, I do exercise and then, spend the rest of the evening like I normally would. But the time that I will be caught up in traffic, going to work or driving back from work, I'm doing more productive things that I wanted to do for myself, doing exercise, doing my planting, building things, working on projects that were, on the back burner for the longest. So I enjoy, working from home. To be honest with you, I know this is not reality. I know that at one point we're going to get back to the office and it's going to be, the same madness again. But I'm taking advantage of the moment and working on projects that I have for the office, manual things like that that needed to be updated that I didn't have the time to do at the office because it was so many things going on. And I'm working on those things now. So I'm taking advantage of not being in the student events to work on projects that will later on benefit the student events.
Thank you. And then we have, there's always important to see different perspectives and identifying how, potentially some of the things that were an obstacle, and it's true, you get a lot of stress either in the transportation going from home to work and vice versa, and that there's time that is lost. You cannot do it. You just have to commute and do it. And the commute now is from wherever you are, the couple of steps, and then you're there, and then you walk away, and then you're home. And it is true also that then we kind of fall in the risk of not separating, like Jason was mentioning, that it's very complex to separate those two environments, and being mindful in doing so, it's important to do. And another question that is related to this, because one of the things that is happening is that there is a lot of stress and anxiety happening because of all of the different things that are going on. Right, we are going through a crisis that we have never seen, and that is impacting everybody and everywhere in the world. And how are you? What things are you doing to help in reducing some of this stress and anxiety that we're experiencing? Jason.
So, I mean, there's a few moments here in the last couple of weeks where I've either spent some time with one of my children or was able to enjoy laugh with my wife, or having dinner together. That allows us to sort of take a deep breath and not be so stressed out. But it is stressful. I hear the stories on the news. It's a challenge, and it's not always easy. And so, but I mean, the other thing, I'll say one other thing. We have an alumni group that meets and has been meeting virtually since we moved to this format. Being able to see all of them, hear their voices, hear what their stories are, because a lot of them are working as essential workers. But hearing them say, that they missed having hugs, that they missed the time together, that they really wanted to see each other, and seeing all the different generations of them in that particular group chat actually was a moment of great relief. reduce a lot of feelings of stress and anxiety, because at the end of the day, the reason why I do this, why we do this, is because of the students, to make their lives a little more enriched and provide them with opportunities to do better things and do greater things in their lives. And so being able to sit there with generations of students from the past and talk about, all the things that we used to talk about, but we don't get to see each other as often, allowed me to feel a lot less anxiety at that particular moment. But that, and sitting with the kids every so often, and just sort of seeing how they look at the world, have been the main two things I think that have allowed me to feel stress relief. And, eating dinner with a family, it's not something that normally happens when we're working on a regular basis.
Great. Let's hear from Jerry.
Okay. For me, it's all a matter of putting things in perspective. So I think about, okay, I don't have to commute to work. I don't have to deal with people that who knows where they got the driver's license from, maybe from a cereal box or something. I have a lot less phone calls to deal with. And if things are not working, in my normal work area, I just move to another part of the house. So I find a quiet place and I sit there and I concentrate, on what I have to do. I also take into perspective, like I mentioned before, that I could have a full lunch hour, which is wonderful. And then around 3 o'clock or so, my wife and I, we have coffee. So we have a little coffee break in between, and that's something that I find very relaxing. There are times, that I take advantage, that I have a car, and if things are getting hectic here, I go to the car, I put some music, and I sit there by myself and I relax. I also try to read once in a while. And another thing that we do is we do like virtual happy hours on Friday. So we call people up and we start a conversation over the phone, making believe that we are all sitting somewhere together. And that's been very good for us, that we share some jokes and we share some anecdotes of how the week went, and we look forward, to seeing those people in person. But again, it's all a matter of perspective. Hey, I wake up every day. I have a roof over my head. I got food on my table. I know where my family's at. I know what they're doing. I know that they're safe. And I have a job, and I have a paycheck coming in. So yes, there are things that are taking place in the world. I try not to watch the news too much because it could be overwhelming. Every channel that you turn to is all this tragedy, all these deaths, all these things going on. So that I stay away from a lot. I try to watch, as little as possible. There's no sports to watch, which is a little challenging, but luckily, they started the Michael Jordan The Last Dance series on Sunday nights. So I watched those episodes, and, that gets me through the rest of the week as far as sports is concerned. But I'm doing okay.
Good. Thanks for the perspectives, the tips for those who are looking for alternatives to sports. You can follow Jerry's advice. Um, and in your roles, because you are very connected and communicating with students constantly, and it will be great if you can share with us, what challenges have students shared with you. Let's start with Jason, and then we go with Jerry.
Well, similar to what I have to do, if they have children at home while they're trying to take classes, and that's not easy. Some of them only have one room. There's nowhere for them to get safe from their children to do work there. Other students are still working. I I have a few who work in markets, who work with their families, who work in supermarkets, who are working as delivery people. And even though, there may be a suspension or people being able to be evicted, students still have to make rent. Some of them are living with other people. And we've actually had two or three students actually have to move from the state to other places because the people who they were living with to go to school here were not allowing them to stay with them. So we've had that situation as well. I think the bigger issues that we all have heard about and that concern us the most, and not that those don't, but food insecurity, students who don't have food and can't find ways to get food and seeking out help from the food pantries, whether it's ours or other colleges. Students who are facing domestic violence issues that we probably won't fully know about until after the crisis is over, unfortunately. Students who have lost their jobs and don't know how they're going to be able to continue their education. All of that is on the board, and I don't think that there are any easy answers for any of it. And the best that we can do on a daily basis is just to try to support the students where they are. And for every student, something different. I mean, and then the most drastic thing that I've heard is where students have actually lost somebody to COVID-19. Those cases are the most severe, whether people can understand that or not. So when you lose somebody, that's the hardest thing you have to overcome. We've actually had students former students who got sick, and I've heard those stories as well. And that's not pleasant. But if people are able to survive that, they're much better off than people who've lost somebody. And that's the hardest thing ever that we ever have to deal with.
Thank you, Jason. Let's go with Jerry.
Okay. So I had a couple of students that expressed some challenges as far as their housing situation, that they were forced to move from one shelter to another. Students also expressed concern about their income, that they were no longer working, and they depended on things like, let's say the SGA members, they depended on their SGA stipend, to make ends meet. Also has students who expressed concerns in terms of being used to the in-person instruction and not getting used to sitting in front of a computer, and trying to capture the message that the professor is trying to convey to them. So they did not adapt well, to the distance learning. You also have students who were, trying to put things in perspective. I had one candidate who met all the requirements to run for the election, and then she withdrew her application because she said, "Look, I got to put my family first. This is more important, that running for this position in student government at this time." So those are some of the things that students have shared.
Thank you. And as you mentioned, it is very complex. There's no easy solution for many of these problems. But I think it is very important that they at least they have someone that they could share with. That then you have been able to be there to hear and potentially connecting to the resources that whether the institution or whether the city might be providing, in the hopes that some of these resources could be helpful for some of those needs from our students. And one of the things that I've been saying in the previous episodes is that the work that everybody that works at the institution to support our students is a huge effort that everybody is doing, and the work that you guys are doing and we all continue to do is to make sure that we provide the support in the with the limitations that we have, but making sure that the students know that that we are there for them. It's very important. One last question that I wanted to ask, you is about this whole transition. We're still in this process of transition. We don't know how and when we're going to be coming back to this new normal. But so far, what takeaways has this transition left you with? Let's go with Jason.
Well, I think that virtual learning has always been on the rise when it comes to education. And I think that this is going to push us a lot quicker into virtual opportunities for students to take classes online, to do things remotely. Uh, I'm not a scientist. I can't predict what the future is going to hold in terms of this disease pandemic. For me, my heart is not as deeply rooted into remote connections. I've already, I grew up in a world where you could actually go outside and play baseball and or throw a football around or you know spend time with people wandering the streets. And I've been lucky enough to spend that type of time with both my students and my alumni over the years. It's just like being able to go out. We used to have a park day every summer where we would get together after the end of the regular year. And we also did all volunteer work, so we were volunteering in the parks and doing other things. We were outside of the campus together. Those things are extremely important to me, extremely important, I believe, to my students. And so those things can't be replicated through a virtual um, form. You're never ever going to convince me that they can be. The one thing I would say is that for workshops, for ceremonies, for things like that, maybe this is a resource to allow people who can't just attend physically to have an opportunity. That being said, my alumni were very against having our Pass No Torch ceremony this year because they felt it was just too important to be able to be celebrating the new student leaders right there, applaud for them in real life. And so they really didn't want to have it virtually, but we wanted to celebrate the students who participated this year and did the work. And so they're still going to participate, but hesitantly. But I think that, you know, the real possibilities that exist with being together uh, is what I'm reminded of most. It's my biggest takeaway that it's so valuable to be able to spend time with people face to face in the flesh, working on projects together, and it's irreplaceable. It's not something that can be replaced. So I miss it, and I'm looking forward to a time when I can go back to it.
Thank you, Jason. Jerry?
Uh, for me, one part of it is realizing, that hey, maybe I could work a couple of days from home, during the regular school year. I don't have to be in the office all the time to complete all the projects that I have to work on. Maybe, you know, I could do 1 or 2 days every month where I work in my shorts at home, relax, and I could still accomplish things. Another thing that this thing has taught me is perspective. Hey, let's appreciate the fact, that we are able to go outside, and take a walk around the neighborhood. Let's appreciate, that we are able to go to the beach or able to hang out with friends, and have lunch. A lot of times, people call me to have lunch, and I say, "Oh, I'm too tied up. Why don't we postpone it?" Now I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I need to make time, to spend more time with my colleagues, in a environment where things are not going, 1,000 miles per hour. Maybe we need to have that conversation, debriefing outside of the working environment, outside of the 5 or 10 minutes before the presentation or the meeting begins or the meeting concludes. I learned that that I need to get in contact with people. I've done that more now that I've been at home. I say, okay, let me give this person a call. Let me give that person a call. Let me send this person a message. And that's something that sometimes we lose touch with. There is technology, things like Instagram or Twitter where people post updates, and we've become, complacent as far as saying, okay, I saw her, he saw her, Instagram post or her Facebook post, so I know what this person is up to. But uh, there's a lot more that could be going on in the mind of that person. Maybe that person needs a phone call. So we could talk a little bit more in depth. So that's something that I think I value more. That need to make the most of time, and that um, yes, work is important, and you got to complete all those things, but you also got to have a balance, and you got to dedicate, sometimes to yourself, sometimes to your family, sometimes to your loved ones, so that when you get back to the office, you don't feel as exhausted.
Many thanks, Jason and Jerry, for your takeaways. And those are valuable uh, tips, valuable information that we hope that people that are connected and people that are going to be watching this video, get some of these ideas. And you are completely right in the sense of switching perspectives. Sometimes we live in in a faster pace that we continue to doing work, and then we don't use much of the time to get to have conversations with the colleagues, friends. And we're hoping that when we come back to that new normal, then we appreciate more those opportunities, and arrange time, because organize our time to make sure that we're able to do that. And I want to share a couple of comments that I got from Carlito has been connected throughout, and he's sharing that not everybody is used to virtual learning. The devices sometimes fail, so what do we do then? Uh, Dr. Lang has been also connecting. Thank you for the help you extend to our students. Muchas gracias. Uh, and Carlito saying thank you for the work that you do. So we are very thankful for everybody to have been connected to this teaching tidbits. We want to thank also Jerry and Jason for taking your time to be able to have this conversation. And we will be having a couple of more sessions for this teaching tidbits live series. And until we connect to another episode, we'll see you guys in the either virtual environment or the new normal. Thank you, everyone.